Today I'm gonna be reading The Missing Kettle for you. And something I like to do with a lot of these is to improvise a little piece of music right beforehand about what I can gather before I read the story for the first time. I am reading this one, never having heard it. But from the title, I can infer what this might be about. Probably a missing kettle. So let's give that a shot. Old kettle go, miss its whistling song. Haven't had a cup of tea in a couple hours too long. Where my old kettle go? Does anyone know where my old kettle go? Used to love the spares that hiss and talk and laugh from out that thing. Looked about everywhere, the cupboard board and counters and everything. Where my old kettle go? Where my old kettle go? Kettle blow, love my kettle blow. This my old black kettle sitting on the stove. Warm me up in winter. Oh, you just don't know where my old kettle go. Hot steam my old kettle blows. Fire crackles underneath and cracks a joke to me. Kindest thing I ever heard. I kinda miss that thing. Where'd my old kettle go? Anyone know where my old kettle go? No, I haven't had a cup of tea in a couple hours too long. Miss my old kettle for that thing I long. Where'd my old kettle go? Heavy black kettle go. The Missing Kettle. There was a woman who lived on the island of Centrag. I've not pronounced that well. I apologize dearly. On the island of Centrag, who only had a kettle to hang over the fire to boil her water and cook her food. Every day, one of the fairy folk would come to the kettle, would come take the kettle. She would slip into the house quietly without saying a word and grab hold of the kettle handle. When this happened, the kettle handle clanked and the woman looked up to recite this rhyme. A smith is able to make cold iron hot with coal. The dew of a kettle is bones, and to bring it back again whole. Then the fairy would fly off with the kettle and bring it back later, filled with meat and bones. One day the woman had to go on the ferry across to the mainland. She asked her husband to say the rhyme. When the fairy came for the kettle, her husband agreed and went back to his work. The fairy arrived and the husband saw her come through the door. When he saw the fairy, he started to feel afraid because he had no contact with the little people. If I lock the cottage door, he reasoned to himself, she will go away and leave the kettle. It will be just fine, as if she had never come. So he locked the door and did not open it when the fairy tried to come in. But the fairy flew up to the hole in the roof where the smoke escaped for the fire and made the kettle jump right up and out of the hole. The fairy made off with the kettle in a trice, and when the wife returned that evening, there was no kettle to be seen. "Where's my kettle?" asked the woman. "I've done nothing with it," said the husband. I took a fright when the fairy came and closed the door to her. She took the kettle through the roof, and now it's gone." "You pathetic wretch! You pathetic wretch! Can't you even mind the kettle when I go out for a day?" Off went the woman to the knoll where the fairies lived to see if she could get the kettle. It was quite dark when she arrived. The hillside opened to her, and when she went in, she could see an old fairy sitting in the corner. So she thought that the others must be out at their nightly mischief. She found her kettle and noticed that it contained the remains of the little people's food. As she ran down the lane with the kettle, she heard the sound of dogs chasing her. Thinking quickly, she took out some of the food from the kettle and threw it to the dogs and hurried on. This slowed the dogs down, and when they began to catch up with her again, she threw down more food until she reached her house, ran in, closed the door, hoping they would not come inside. Every day after the woman watched for the fairy coming to take her kettle. Every day after that, The woman watched for the fairy coming to take her kettle, but the little creature never came again. I'm gonna put the little poem that they say so that the fairies continue their relationship of reciprocity with the kettle, because I think that would be nice to do. A smith is able to make cold iron hot with coal. The dew of a kettle is bones, and to bring it back again whole. The smith is able to make cold iron hot with coal, and the dew of a kettle is bones, and to bring it back again whole. Yes, the dew of a kettle is bones, and to bring it back again whole. A smith is able to make cold iron hot with coal. That's the missing kettle. I enjoyed that one a lot. I hope you did as well.